Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, back here at BMW Seattle on a gorgeous day with this beautiful view. But even more importantly, I want to take you on a tour and a test drive of the brand new G80 manual M4. All right, so before we do a quick walk around, let's talk about the reasons why. I mean, the new G82 M4 is the brand new flagship M4, has all the technology, has the new motor, the S58 motor, and I'll talk about that a little bit if that's not something you're familiar with. But all the reasons why to pick up a great car like this and all of the things that BMW has put into it. Also, to give a driving experience as well, because for those of us that prefer a 6-speed manual transmission instead of an automatic, which is really good in the new cars, but we still want that ability to shift ourselves, I wanted to share with you the experience of what it's like. Now, you've probably seen my F87 M2 and that transmission, which is really, really good. And I really wanted this experience myself. What does the new M4 feel like as you shift through with the S58 motor? Because all of my experiences so far with the S58 and this transmission and this platform has been with the automatics. So let's take a look at this. Let's do a quick walk around the outside. We're gonna talk about the technology and all of the suspension and engine and everything you've got going there. We'll take a look at the inside. We'll hear what it sounds like, and then we'll take it out for a drive. All right, guys, let's take a look at this gorgeous car, and forgive any background noise. It's a busy day as always here in Seattle, so you never know what you're gonna get. But you have this gorgeous Brooklyn gray and on the black accents. I actually really like this, especially in the bright light. So if you look at it, especially with the shadow line LED headlights, which we'll talk about more in just a second, you really kind of get this black on gray effect, especially with the trim down the side. So it really is an excellent two-tone effect. It fits into the front grills and the front kidneys. So now you've got the Icon LED headlights with the laser assist. You can always tell these because they've got the blue interior trim. So what a cool headlight setup. And of course, you know, you can't look at one of the new G80s without talking about the front grille. Of course, the kidneys are changed. And like, as I mentioned before, this was something that had to grow on me, and it really has. These look very aggressive, very muscular to me now. And especially as they tie into the hood elements as well. I really love the way the hood looks. I think it all ties in really together. It took a little bit of time, and I really don't think that pictures or maybe even video does this car justice. You really need to see this in person. Come down, take a look at it, and I think it's going to be different if you're on the edge about it. For me, I've fallen off that edge. I really like it. I think it's a gorgeous car. So this particular is the G82 M4 Coupe. So you can see, like I said, the Icon laser headlights, all the aggressive styling across the front. As we look at the wheels, both front and rear, they're 19-inch fronts on 20-inch rears. This has the adaptive M suspension. And when you look at the M brakes, you actually have a choice of colors. In this case, it actually has the red choice. I think it looks really, really good, and it stands out a little bit, adds a little bit of color to the gray and black. So you've got the winged type of mirrors that you often see on the M cars. Looks really good. And the adaptive M suspension gives you 3 different modes that we'll talk about a little bit when we get on the inside. You can see the carbon fiber weaved roof. Now, the other thing I like about this is that if you look at it, they've changed the way that the roof lines themselves. Now it's got these dual ridges, where before it had a little bit of a scallop in the previous models. Now you've got these 2 ridges that come down. It's a new design. I think it looks great. These are 20-inch rears. We walk around the back. Typical M car quad exhaust. You can always tell an M car usually from the quad exhaust alone if you can't see the badging or anything else. We'll fire it up in a second so you get to hear what that sounds like. But all in all, really aggressive styling all the way around. The new design of the tail lights that are very iconic. If you watch the new iX video, you can see highlights of similar design, a kind of similar design language as you look at the taillights. But all in all, very aggressive car all the way around, looks really good, and really has an amazing amount of technology packed in as well. So now let's go ahead and pop the hood and take a look at the S58 motor. It's always really easy to get lost in model designations and engine designations and all those different sort of things, but as this is the G82 M4, this is the S58 motor. So now, in comparison to the previous F80 models, so the M3 and the M4s, had the S55 motor. Had a little bit less torque, a little bit less horsepower, and as usual, when BMW iterates and builds their latest models, they improve. Fuel economy gets a little bit better, power and torque gets a little bit better. All the lessons they've learned in the previous generations gets upgraded and iterated. And in this case, you're looking at 473 horsepower on 406 foot-pounds of torque. So a tremendous amount of power for this car. Now, the other thing you can see is the bracing itself is quite a bit different. Now, if you're familiar with the S55, this whole engine bay layout is entirely different. I mean, there's so many differences here. We could spend an hour on just that alone. But for example, they've improved and stiffened the body frame even here in the engine bay. In the F80s, you have that big carbon fiber bar that would come down from your strut towers on each side, across the front and across. Well, in this case, they've got the V-braces, which is similar, but then also across the top as well. So you're looking at quite a bit of increased rigidity across the body, even here in the engine bay. So what a tremendous difference, and this really is the new M motor of the future. This is such a great motor. If you took a look at my X3M video I did, it has this motor. This really gets up and goes. Some of my previous G80 videos, I can't wait to drive this and see what it feels like with the manual transmission. So let's go ahead and jump inside, take a look at what all that looks like, and we'll take it for a drive. So there's so many possible interior option, color choices, technology, you name it, so we won't be able to go through them all, but really give a good example of what is in this car. Now, really quickly, if you see any strobing out of the screen off the video, that is purely my camera. You actually don't see that in any condition to your naked eye at all. But I cannot wait to drive this. This will be the first manual G82 that I've driven, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. But you can walk through all the familiar controls with your iDrive. Now, I did want to point out something kind of cool. I always love my phone charger. There's actually your wireless phone charger right here. Now, under your armrest, where your phone slides in upright with a little clip that holds it into place. So I'm actually charging my phone while I'm sitting here. So pretty cool, and kind of keeps it out of arm's reach, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. Now, if you're coming out of previous BMWs, you used to, for example, in the G30 or F30s and F80s, you're used to seeing AC and radio controls reversed. But this is really the new design that you see with radio controls underneath and your memory buttons that you can associate to actually different functions. It's not just radio presets. Make sure to have your BMW advisor walk you through all those sort of things and give you an education when you come in and take a look at one of these or buy one of these. And then, of course, the new iDrive 7 with a 10.25-inch screen. This has all the gesture control, as you can see, as you can gesture with the media and all of those options. And as always, I can't play music because YouTube will take my video down. But as you can see, with all your different options, you've got touchscreen, you've got gesture, you've got voice, you've got your iDrive buttons, all your familiar controls that you're used to out of your iDrive, but with the latest updates. Now, the other thing that's cool about this is that you will get wireless updates over the air, so map updates and the like. You don't need to, in the old fashioned, you don't have to stick a new CD in or need to bring it into the dealership to have them do the update. It'll now do it on its own. So you never have to worry about your maps being out of date, and you'll also get real-time traffic like you see in a lot of different cars, and you can see exactly how bad traffic is in Seattle right now. But all of your normal different options that you'll have, including with an M car, you have all your different driver profiles. I love going through the M menus where you can configure all of your different setup. Now, what is also cool about this particular G82 is that it does have the heads-up display, which I'll admit I miss a little bit in my F87. But you can go through and customize everything you're looking at, including your M1 and M2 buttons on what you would like them to do, including how your engine behaves, how your gear shift assist, which I'll touch on that in just a moment. But you'll go through your suspension, your steering, even your brakes, which is something new in the new G80s, that in the F80s, you didn't have an option of settings on your brakes, so comfort and sport. In this, you do, which is really kind of cool. Now, of course, you've got a lot of these in physical buttons down here, down below. You can control your exhaust flap, your M mode, you can go through all your setup, parking controls, your exterior cameras, and all the rest. So very familiar controls here as you go through all those different options. And then, as always, your familiar M1 and M2 buttons here up on your steering wheel. You also have a 12.3-inch digital display that will change through navigation. It'll change as you go through your M modes. There are so many different options of what you can do. Now let me shut the door so it'll change a little bit. And forgive any additional reflections that we have, because in this case, they still have all of the delivery plastic on everything. So as you can see, that's a really dramatic reflection. That's only because this car is still not been delivered yet. So it's got all of the plastics on it that you would expect. So lots of different options here as you go through all of your displays. And then the new M style steering wheel, a little bit wider spokes on each side, a heated steering wheel in this case as well. So many different possible options. I really love this car. It has grown on me so much, and it's just absolutely beautiful and full of all the latest technology. But more importantly, let's hear how it sounds, and then let's take it for a drive. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take this out. I'm gonna take you kind of on my favorite loop drive that I think would be representative if you were gonna come down and take a test drive of this car. Nothing too crazy today, just out and back, kind of get a sense of what it's like. And I really want to get a sense of what this manual transmission's like in an S58. This is what I'm just super excited about. So let's give you a little bit of the sight and sounds of Seattle. Let's take the car out a little bit. We'll talk about the car as we go. And so first impressions, first manual transmission in an S58 with this car and this platform. Interesting shift points, a little bit different. Clutch engages very, very quickly. So I'm having to change how I shift just to be respectful of how this car is responding. So it's gonna take a little bit of adjustment for me of, kind of where my shift points are and, where my feet should be through all of this, but man, super quick. Just really impressive how quick this is out of the gears, and I so love a manual transmission. There is nothing like it. I know the new automatics are so good, and even the head of BMW M is kind of shrugging, saying, why would you still have a manual transmission? But man, just 30 seconds in this car, and I know this would be my choice. Out over the lake and give you what that view looks like. Turn in and steering wheel control here in sport mode. I'm in M2, which is about sport everything. Turn in is absolutely precise through those S turns. And here into the tunnel, I think we've got a little too much traffic today. I wanted to give you a little bit of the sound of the exhaust here with the exhaust flap open. See if we can get it a little bit. A little bit, but we got enough road noise that you're probably not going to be able to hear it very clearly, but sounds really good. Traffic went a little bad for me here. I apologize. I think we've got a baseball game here in town. But let me give you the sights and sounds of the lake a little bit as we go across. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but really highlighting the transmission. There is no way I would buy this car that wasn't a manual. But again, that's just me and what I prefer. The shifting is precise and clean. Gear engagement is perfect. It's really nice. Surface isn't exactly even, but even in sport mode, it's not unpleasant or harsh. Sometimes, in the cars with adjustable or adaptive suspension, if you're in a more aggressive sport style mode, it can be a little uncomfortable at times, but even in its strongest settings, it's still not uncomfortable across that uneven surface of the deck. So I'm really impressed. Moving across the deck there, I accelerated out of the lane in 6th gear, and it just didn't have to downshift. This S58 motor is really impressive. If you take a look at its power and torque curves, they're really smooth across the whole spectrum. This is probably one of the most responsive BMW motors I've ever driven, and it was great in the X3M, and it is equally impressive, if not more so, in this car. So really, really great. So let's take it a little bit further. We've got a little bit more traffic today than I would have liked, but we're gonna take an off ramp up here. We'll loop around, and we'll take my favorite on ramp back here on the I-90 and see if we can open it up just a little bit, so I can give you a little bit of exhaust note and hear what it sounds like when you come down and take a test drive. That's interesting about these new G80s with a manual is that the rev matching, as you shift through your gears where it would automatically try to rev match, is an option that you can turn off and on. Now, let's listen to this a little bit. Let's give this car a little bit of chance to give us a little bit of distance here. We don't have anybody behind us. Here we go. Second to third, and now into fourth. We caught this Nissan ahead of us pretty darn quickly, and you know, done even then, done respectfully. Didn't really, that wasn't full throttle by any stretch of the imagination. This car only has a few miles on it. It's still within its break-in period, and taking it out for a test drive. So I'm always going to be respectful when I do that. But yeah, that was really quick. And in M2, where it's MDM, so a little bit of traction control is off. I could tell if I really got on it, the tires would have broken free, definitely in second gear. Well, absolutely in first, but I came out of first so quickly, I could have spun the tires easily in second. So really just a tremendous amount of power and torque available through the whole curve in this motor. I am really impressed. So let's take it back across the lake and give you a little bit more of the sights, the beautiful water here of Lake Washington, and here in Seattle, and we'll take it back to the dealership. What's cool about the interactive safety systems in this car, so there was a notice that there's a stalled car here on the floating bridge, and the car actually just told me that caution, that there's a road problem ahead, and to be careful. So you really gotta love the technology that's being added to these cars to be able to make them safer, to give you all of the safety and security, not only in structure, if you're in an accident, but hopefully all of the technology you need to avoid it, better traffic routes, the whole 9 yards. So really impressive. I've never had a BMW system do that for me yet. So what a cool kind of in the moment thing. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the view here across the lake. Game day. Traffic's a little bit heavier than normal. Maybe not the ideal day to go out for a test drive, but what a beautiful day to do it. And you know, if you're not from Seattle, you get to see some of the really great driving here from Seattle drivers there. Yes, Toyota 4Runner, I'm talking about you. So what a fun car. As always, I really am not excited to take it back. I would love to have some more time. This transmission is really good. The rev matching is currently off, so if that's a feature that in the F80s you didn't like, this is now an ability that you can turn on or turn it off. You can certainly turn it back on if you want to still have it, but really impressive. And you know, wanted to give it just a little bit, maybe in this last little stretch. Yeah, because I don't see anybody around. I do know there's some Seattle PD up here. Yep, really gets up and goes. What a great car. So impressive and really, really quick. I highly recommend, if you get a chance, come and drive one of these. It is really impressive, and it's something that is really best experienced in person. So let's go ahead and take it back, and then we'll wrap up. All right, y'all, I had to wear my M-Town shirt today, you know, in celebration of being able to take the new G82 out. And what a great experience. This manual transmission is really good. The engagement is very, very quick. I found that, you know, a little bit of adjustment when I first took the car out, that by the time I brought it back, I was completely in sync with the transmission. Really felt like I was at the right shifting points throughout. And like I said, don't even have the rev matching turned on. So really impressed, just as I have been with these G80s and G82s. The manual is, in my mind, even better. But again, you know, it's a trade-off on what you want and the features, and whether you want the new automatic, which has a lot of really cool features like launch control, and it can shift and adjust and ties into your navigation and has a tremendous amount of technology tied into it. Or in this one case, you still want to be able to, you know, heel toe and be able to control your shifting manually, purely all by yourself. So what a great experience. I highly recommend you come and do this yourself. And there's nothing like driving it. There's no experience like driving it. There's no video or picture that you're going to have that's going to be like going out and driving it yourself. So if you get an opportunity, please do. Thank you so much to BMW Seattle for being so fantastic and giving me this opportunity to let me take the car out. And I'll see you on my next video.